So my team online just confirmed. Can you see my screen?
Kuoneka.
Oh.
Kuoneka.
So let's start from question number 3. LRC is a multi-divisional company. One of the divisions has net assets of 420,000. The profit statement for the division for the latest period is as follows. Then the question which follows, what is the division's controllable return on investment without the new machine? Why does this look so much similar to what we did Mashure? So let's quickly go through this one. I think it's much similar to the question that we did, if it's not the same, with the one at Mashure. So just make sure you still remember. Can you quickly attempt the question? So the question, can you first read the questions and graph down what's required? Then I'm going to display the question. Just read through the questions, jotting down what you're going to be calculating. Then I'm going to show you the question. So you need the return on investment without the new machine, the return on investment with the new machine, the controllable, the residual income without the new machine, and the residual income with the new machine. Quickly, let's jot that one down, the requirements, then we answer the question. Let's be fast. So please take the shortest time to complete that so that we look at other things. So yes, it's the same question that we did. So it's just a matter of us checking, but do you still remember? So just quickly do that one, then we move to the next. We're not going to look at the part B, the next other part, because we have already done that. Please, may you be fast. Time is running out. I don't trust the silence. Are you guys progressing or what? Because this is not the first time she does this. Kana zvaramba motaura kuti zvaramba. Because time yamuri kudya tinopedza hour rese tichingoita the same question. The assumption is makaita last lesson and it's the same question I've just said.
Ndapedza tese.
Yes, if you're done, let me know the answers because I'm waiting for you.
Ndawana 14.3 ne 13.9 per 8.
14.3. The next one,
18.9.
18.9. The next one,
18,000.
18,000. The last one,
Ndakupedzisa ndapedza.
come again.
18.5.
18.5. Koam, Lisa, or research? How are you getting those amounts? Rudolph?
Ndaburisa 14.3%.
14.3. Next one.
C 18,000.
For
G
D.
18.5. 18.5%.
Okay, that's correct. Lisa, please revisit the last lesson because we did the same question. You can't repeat that, which end up delaying us unnecessarily. So please go and revisit. It was the last question paper at Agaita. It is the same exact question. So Tagadi's if it's return on capital employed, it's simply the profit over the capital employed. Tagadi's but profit is controllable profit. So you remove, you recalculate the profit, removing the allocated cost over the net assets. Then you do the same after or add the net assets. So let's move on to, so before we answer that question, let's maybe have a quick on, before we talk about that question on time series, let's have a quick introduction on time series. So for time series analysis, we are looking at the change that is taking place over time. So time series, it looks at the change that's taking place over time. So time series, this looks at the change taking place over time. It looks at the change taking place over time. So by change taking place over time, you would realize, Kuti, the change can be as a result of different factors. So over time, you can find, for example, our sales, they can be rising or they can be falling over time. So over time, the sales can either be falling or they can be rising. So those changes over time, we can call them the variations. So if we look at the long-term effect of these variations, you end up with what we call a trend, or we can say that let's have the components of time series. So if we look at the changes that are taking place over time, we can come up with what we call a trend. So we have a trend. So a trend looks at whether in the long run, can we say the prices are increasing, the prices are falling, the output is increasing or the output is falling. So the trend looks at the change that is taking place over time to say, is it an upward or is it a downward trend? So if we are looking at whether it's a downward change or an upward change over time, that is the trend. So there's the first component. Then we have what you call seasonal variations. So on the changes that are going to be taking place, there are changes that are as a result of seasons. So as an organization, you would realize that my sales maybe in winter, makana kuti tikutengesa zvakaita sema-umbrella. In winter, anogona kunge asingafambe, but kana vakunaya akutanga kufamba. Vanotengesawo jerseys in winter, demand inenge iri high, we have more sales, but kana kwakunayawo kazhinji kunenge kuchipisa, demand inenge iri low. So The seasonal variations, you're saying sometimes my sales edu anoona kudzika, not necessarily because vanhu havachadi products edu, but simply because of the changes in the season. So we have seasonal variations. We also have what we call cyclical variations. So the cyclical variations, these are changes that take place as a result of the business cycle. So business, things are not always going to be good. You can hear business down. So it might not be affecting your business only, but it might be actually affecting the economy as a whole. So the economy can be at boom, or it can be in recession where business activity is getting low. So in those cases, sometimes demand might fall, but it's temporary. It doesn't remain like that forever. So if the changes are as a result of those business cycles, it is my seasonal variation. So then also sometimes you'd find between my sales, they can be affected by factors that come randomly, like with period here COVID. We can have my cases, my floods. Those factors are going to affect ourselves, but they are random. So there is what we call a random variation. So random variation, inongokonzereswa factors that are random that we cannot predict. So unexpected events. So my sales edu or demand edu, it can be affected by factors that we cannot predict. So those are random variations. So these are said to be components of the time series. So we can look at a case, let's say we're given sales for 2005. 2005, we can break down 2005 into 4 quarters. So we can say 2005, quarter 1, because quarter, we're talking about the 3 months. So there are 4 quarters of a year. So we can say in 2005, we started the sales for the first quarter, the second quarter, the third quarter, the fourth quarter. Then we look at 2006, total summer sales for the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and the fourth quarter. 2007, total summer sales for the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and the fourth quarter. So Tongoti maybe for the sales for 2005 first quarter, you can say 600. Can have, let's say, 640, 420. Can just put random amount, 720. 630. 816. 420. 740. 690. 900. 470. 750. So these are the cells attached theta per quarter. So these are the cells that we have made per quarter. So if we are now using time series, we might need to figure out kuti ma-cells edu aya ari kukwidza here kana kuti ari kudzika. Can we really say our cells are rising or they are falling? Because sometimes they were 600, omboenda ku 420, pamwe pacho omboenda ku 900, omboenda ku 470. So can we really say the sales are increasing or they are falling over time? So for us to determine kuti my sales add over time, yes, and my price my sales ambodona, achimbokwira, achimbodona, but over time, can we really say our sales are rising? So what do we need? We calculate the trend. So we calculate the trend, but for us to come up with the trend, we first of all need the moving average. So we calculate the 4-point moving average. So we calculate what we call the 4-point moving average. So we come up with the 4-point moving average. So for our 4-point moving average, we add the 4 numbers. So we're going to add the sales from Q1 up to Q4, and you divide them by 4. So you add the sales for the 4 quarters, divide them by 4. So you're going to add the sales for the 4 quarters, you divide them by 4. So amount yekutanga. So amount yekutanga tenga kuinyora pa. So amount yekutanga chatanga kuinyora papi, chatanga kuinyora a. Per second quarter. So Eda, then the first amount, chatanga kuinyora per second quarter. Tochi Eda, the next 4. Was Chida 1, 2, 3. So I think charge panago, sorry, charge panago jump my columns. So this that jump a line. So two jump one line, one line, one line. So patino eda 4. Tunonyura pakati. Skacha eda 1, 2, 3, 4. Tubadanyura. Our moving average. Pakati. Perform numbers at the eda. Then tapeza ku eda 4 ekutangayo. Taguno eda 4 zvikare. Tagusiya the first one to eda 4. Skipping the first one. Teda to 640 plus 420 plus 720 plus 630. So I'm going to add the 4 numbers over divider by 4. So apa tango see the first one. Ta add the 4 tangira ba this one. Thing now, so that is here one line, one line, one line, one line pakati. So the first one shall add 1 2 3 4 obva average yacho pakati. Then either 4 we see the first one what 640 420 720 630 average yacho. Please pay attention to what I'm doing, that's what's more important. Tagu either so the either first 4 the average the the first one the either 1 2 3 4 then the average pakati. Takusiya the two atatanga nawayo either 4 kutangira panapa. So 4 zedu dzakutangira panapa 1 2 3 4 divided by 4 tobadawaya panapa either 4 zedu dziri kutangira apa 1 2 3 4 so yeah, but I'm going to 1 2 3 4 so apa chatinochitsvaga is our moving average. So yeah, panapa takunoita 1 2 3 4 so yeah, panapa still the same procedure. Takuita 1 2 3 4 so yeah, panapa ska 4 zedu dzakutangira apa 1 2 3 4 So the last one to Abanaba, that's for this one sorry. So this one is our moving average, but in engaging the uncentered moving average. This one in engaging is uncentered. Then to is the centered 4-point moving average. So it's the centered 4-point moving average. Yaratanga one is the uncentered 4-point moving average. The centered moving average. So the centered either these two. Either the moving average at either 594 and 602 about divided by 2. So we can start the centered moving average, centered 4-point moving average. Either these two, you divide by 2. So the 4-point moving average, Tachi either 4, the centered moving average. While we either 2, which know your answers the Bagati, Tauya panapa. You add these two. This is the centered moving average. So we get the centered moving average. So turn at the centered moving average. Turn at the centered moving average. The centered moving average, inofanira kunge ichienderana nema-cells. Uchaona kuti like panapa, the centered moving average yatabudisa iri kuenderana inenge ichienderana nema-cells. So the centered moving average yedu iri kuenderana nema-cells. But inotangira pa quarter 3 cells. So our centered moving average iri kuenderana nema-cells. So vakati calculate the moving average. So tanga waisa maquarters ako ye ni maquarters uchijamba jamba line. Then wotanga watsvaka the uncentered 4-point moving average. Ningo uchiedha numbers ari 4 which wonyora pa uchaedha first 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 average yako moving average inonyerera pakati numbers ari 4. Kana ari 4 it means percent bound up. So it are the same going throughout. Wapedza uchizotsvaka the 2 points ningo akuedha moving average yako ari 2 wonyora average pakati. Woedhawo this one and this one wonyora average yako pakati. This one and this one wonyora average yako pakati. So anenge achinzi that is now the centered moving average. So this one ndo yaakutiudza the time series. So the centered moving average inokwanisa kutiudza kuti okay, ma-cells edu anenge achidonha achikwira, but if we look at the centered moving average iri kuratidza an upward trend kuti tatanga tiri pa 5.98 tikaenda pa 6.30 6.57 6.6 6.7 6.82 6.93 7.01. So chero yedu ma-cells edu anenge achikwidza achidzika, but the centered moving average is showing us kuti ma-cells edu ari kukwidza. Anenge achidzika achidonha achikwira achidonha, but it's showing kuti over time ma-cells edu they are rising. Then tinoona kunzi isusu calculate the seasonal variation. Calculate the seasonal variations. So let's have the seasonal variation panapa. So seasonal variation. For seasonal variation, unoti ma-cells edu minus cells minus the trend. The centered moving average, that's the trend. That's right. So kana tikanditsvaga seasonal variation, urikuti iwewe the cells minus the trend or the centered moving average. So teda kuti 720 minus 630 Toyawo apa 530 minus, we do the same. Saka tiri kuti my cells minus the centered moving average. We then get the seasonal variation. So zviri kureva izvo kuti macells edu chimboconcentrata there, zviri kureva kuti macells edu muna 2005 quarter 3 akaita 420, but iwo aikwanisa kunge akaita 598. Chakakonzeresa kuti macells aite 420, it was because of a seasonal effect yakakonzeresa kuti macells edu azoita lower ne178. So as a result of seasons, macells edu akazoita low. So effect yemaseasons yareduce macells by 178. Apa macells edu akwira from an average of 630 atachitarisira. Chakwidza macells ne90 again is the seasonal effect. Macells edu anga ari below the average because of a seasonal effect here, negative 27.5. Apa macells edu anga ari above the average, but again it's a seasonal effect. So these are called seasonal variations. Zviri kureva izvo kuti macells edu affectwa these seasonal variations. So macells edu anga ari either above or below the average, but it was as a result of this seasonal effect. So using these seasonal variations now, ndo panozouya yatinoti the additive model. So the additive model, can I have the additive model? We are going to have our quarters. Quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4, and quarter 5. Sorry, quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4. Then the first year is 2005, 2006, and 2007. So tinoshandisa these seasonal variations. So the seasonal variation for 2005 quarter 1 tanga tisina, tazotangira pa year 2005 quarter 3. Ndoba tazotanga kuita seasonal variation yedu. So ndoba tiri kuya kuzotanga kuisa our seasonal variation there. Touyawo quarter 4 toisa our seasonal variations. So my seasonal variations atachiwana ndoatiri kuzoshandisa pa table yedu ye-additive model. So this table is additive model. This table is additive model. Panapa tichava tauya totanga totsvaga total. So total yedu totsvaga our total. Then totsvaga average. So this total was for 2. That either these two values, so you're going to be dividing by 2. So the average, you'll be dividing the total by 2. So average either they should give us 0. So anenga arima unadjusted seasonal indexes. So either they should give us 0. Under additive model, these averages either they should give us 0. So under the additive model, the sum of the averages should be 0. The sum of the averages should be 0. So kana isiri 0, we adjust. So in this case, let's add and see the sum of these indexes iaitachi. The sum of the indexes, instead of being 0, you have there 43.125. So kana yabuda iri 43.125. Today we adjust kuti isare ya 0. It means unoti sezo chine 4 quarters. This average yatipa 43, so we're going to divide the 43 by 4. So shati isusu yadarikira yanga ifana kuita 0, but yaita above 0 ne 43.125. So what do you do? Unotora 43.125, you divide by 4 since chine 4 quarters. So amount yetinenge tawana tichano subtractor from each quarter. Tinoita kuti adjusting the seasonal indexes. Adjusting the variations. What variations? So nengo wakuno subtractor from each quarter. Visa 10.78125. So how we can just go and try to redo that. So panapa tawana ma adjusted seasonal indexes edu. Nengo wakuchiti average over subtractor takuti average with subtractor average to the subtractor that average to subtractor that. So yatakwana aya ama wama adjusted seasonal indexes there. So panapa, but the conclusion is Triguti, masales edu quarter one. Anga achitiza from zvadachitarisira by about 26. Ayanga achitiza by 1.88. Ayanga achitiza by 225. Ayo anga achitiza by 62. So kana masales edu are negative, it means in quarter one, masales edu anga achita lower than what we're expecting. Quarter two anga achita above because it's near 1.88. But issue yatiri kutarisa apa ndenyaya yemaseasons tiri kuti masales edu atadza kunge ari semamwe maperiods due to seasonal effects. So you'd realize that in quarter one masales edu anga ari below, quarter two anga ari pamusoro, quarter three anga ari pasi, but it's all because of seasonal effects. So this table tinoita kutsvaga adjusted seasonal indexes using the additive model. Then the question can say, use the multiplicative model. So let's have the multiplicative model. So I'm adjusted seasonal indexes using the multiplicative model. So if it is the multiplicative model, unotanga wawedzera ka extra column kuno. Kanonzi yatinoti seasonal percentage.
Matitika edze anofanirwa kutiburitsira 0 kana akasatiburitsira 0 tinofanirwa kuadjasta. Saka kana taadjasta anozofanira kutiburitsira 0 futi here.
Yeah, I'm adjusted kama add anofanirwa kuzotipa 0. Let's add them up to just one. So after that, adjust and out to this result.
Yes.
Then the multiplicative model. So per multiplicative model, unofana utanga watsvaga seasonal percentage. Tunaona tati current sales over current sales over trend. So current sales over trend. So it means we're going to like panapa chanoti my sales 420 divided by trend. Put the sales divided by trend. So our seasonal percentage. So vadano create a table the same table, but he actually some percentage, my seasonal percentage. Actions for seasonal percentage, so chautangane So the next procedure is the same to track a total head. So we get our total. Or tatraga our average straight instead of, because average data I'm going to E plus Z to add that divided by 2. So we get our average. So we add, we get our average. Divide by 2. So the difference is we're using a percentage. Totanga tatsvaga seasonal percentage. Hatina kushandisa the seasonal variation yakadaro. So per multiplicative model, the total average should either be 1 or 4. The total average should be 1 or 4. So ikasaita 1 kana 4 totaridza kuti yadarika nechi, then we share sezvataita pamusoro apa. Like in this case, let's add up. Let's concentrate more. Then I can send you the Excel after the lesson. So put more effort for concentrate on what I'm doing. So you can just be jotting down what I'm not writing down. I'll send you the Excel after the lesson. So panava, study the average to add. So our average radiate above 4. It's to start, it should be 4. Can I yadarikira 4 tutaza kunoti yadarikira 4 nechi. So this extra above 4e, we divide it by 4. So this extra above 4 may divide by 4. So takuya tisco subtract kuti adjust. So to subtract this amount throughout. So this is the adjusted. After the adjustment, if we add up, this should now give us 4. Just confirm. So that's our adjusted indexes under the multiplicative model. Then there are relationships that we need to know. So there are relationships that we need to know, like under the additive model. Under the additive model, we say that the actual cells, are equal to the trend plus seasonal variation. The actual cells is equal to trend plus seasonal variation. That's under the additive model. So under the additive model, the actual sales is trend plus seasonal variation. Then we have the multiplicative model. So under the multiplicative model, actual sales is equals to trend times seasonal variation. Actual sales is equals to trend times seasonal variation. So under the additive model, actual sales is equals to trend plus seasonal variation. Multiplicative model, actual sales is trend times seasonal variation. So let's say we come here. Zvoba zvanzi izvo it is given that the trend for 2005, these are now typical exam questions. I was taking you through where it comes from. It is given that the trend for 2005 quarter 3 is 2005 quarter 3 598.75 598.75 and the seasonal index. And the seasonal index is negative 178.75. What is the amount for actual sales? What's the amount for actual sales? So question inogona kubuya yakakupa wakapiwa wewe trend nova wapiwa chi, what is the actual sales under the additive model? What is the actual sales under the additive model? So under the additive model, so the actual sales is trend plus seasonal variation. So trend plus seasonal variation, meaning channel is to actual sales is equals to trend 598.75 plus the index. In this case, the index is actually a negative. Subtractor. So this becomes what? So I'm going to 598.75 minus 178.75. So can you see yatipa 420? So 420 yatawana E. Ndo area yatakapiwa as my sales a year 1 quarter 3. 2005 quarter 3. Yes. So unoona kupiwa trend ne seasonal variation vokuti chitraga iwewe chi my sales for that period. So kana iri the additive model inoshandisa the seasonal variation, which is not a percentage. But can I have the multiplicative model? They can then say, it is given that the seasonal index for 2000 seasonal index from 2007 quarter one for 2007 quarter one is 99.4%, 99.4%, 99.4%, and the trend is, and the trend is the trend is 693.75. The trend is 693.75. What was the actual sales? So what was the actual sales? So kuti tiwane
So
the
can-
actual sales, tichava notice is formula inoti. Oh, let's also add under the because which uses a percentage is the multiplicative model. Under the
Ndozvanoenda
multiplicative model. So under the multiplicative model, take out not the actual sales is equals to trend times seasonal index yedu kana kuti seasonal percentage. So tova tauya panapa takunoti our trend that we are given 693.75 times 99.4 tinowana chii, so tikati 693.75 times 99.4%. Trigona 698. Maybe let's just round this to the nearest whole number. 689. We round the, because my cells they don't got to whole number. Let's just round that to the nearest whole number. You know, right? 690. So zirikureva izvo kuti my sales edu at 2007 quarter one anga ari 690. Let's go and check. Can you see? So takapiwa information iruku, we can be able to work back with the tuanishi cells. We can be able to work backwards to get the sales figure. This is building up. We are building up to answering that question last time. So I'm just taking you back so that Kanata will answer that question to Kwansabu Pambatese. Then panning a trend. Sometimes trend one kusakupa like the way I take up which I need to take one go back the trend equation. They can give you the trend equation. For example, they can say trend, the trend equation is given as 200 plus 500x. So zvinenge zvichirevei izvi x inenge ichirepresenta the period yatinenge tiri. So x will be representing the period. X will be representing the period. So, like in this case, Marcel's edu 2006 Q1. Kana tichiverenga pamaperiod kuti period 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So patinosvika apa inenge ya period 5. Patinosvika apa inenge ya period 6, apo ya period 7. So x vakakupa the trend equation. Vakakupa the trend equation, x anenge achirepresenta kuti tamu period chi. So vakatipa 2001 inenge ine former quarters, it means ine former period. Because quarter yega it's a period. Quarter 1 is period 1, quarter 2 is period 2, quarter 3 period 3, period 4. Takwenda 2006 quarter 1 inge period 6. So x will be representing the period. So it means kana tikanzi susu trim period 5, for example, the trend would be then trend yabuda iri 20,000 plus 500 kana trim period 5 x to substitute 5. So this becomes 20,000 plus 500 times 5. So it means our trend in that case inenge ichibuda iri 22.5. So unenge uchizongotarisaiwo kuti question quarter yavari kutibvunza is period what? Kubva paperiod pakota yekutanga tinoita period yechingani, because first quarter that's period 1. Now one trend, ukapiwa trend sezvataita panapa, ukapiwa trend ne-seasonal variation, you can calculate the actual. Ukapiwa trend tiri pa-multiplicative model, ukapiwa trend ne-percentage or yatinogona kuti ukapiwa trend ne-percentage or tinogona kuiti isusu seasonal index, you can also work out the actual cells. Then lastly, we can have a case yekuti for example takapiwa the actual cells tobva tapiwa. Let's actually go to that question tichinozo apply. Let's go and apply to that question. So we are told Kuti Pixel wants to estimate future production using time series. The following trend has been derived from actual production data for year 1. So we are told Kuti this is the trend equation. Y is the production units for the quarter, and X is the period. The following set of seasonal variation index values have been derived using the multiplicative model. So my seasonal variations are hanzi kushandisa multiplicative model, meaning my percent I. So it's more like vakatipa this information irapa. It's more like vakatipa I. Those are going to say for year 1 quarter 1 yanga iri 70, year 1 quarter 2 yanga iri 90, quarter 3 yanga iri 130, quarter 4 yanga iri 110. Then the question you're using the above multiplicative time series model, what would be the production for year 2 quarter 3? Year 2 quarter 3. So let's do that together. What would be the production for? So we want to estimate estimating the production, the actual production. Using the multiplicative model. Estimating the actual production using the multiplicative model. So tatisusu unoti wewe actual sales times actual production. In this case, I see my sales ama production. Actual production is equals to trend times seasonal index. Trend times seasonal index. Trend times seasonal index. So chokutanga is to work out the trend. The first step is to work out the trend. So the question yange yakataura kuti iyo the following trend equation has been derived from the actual production. So the trend equation is equal to y is equals to 22,000 plus 800x. Y is equals to 22,000 plus 800x. So panapa toda the trend for year 2 yavari kubvunza year 2 quarter what, let's go and see. Vari kuti what is question yedu iri kubvunza what would be the estimated production for year 2 quarter 3. Year 2 quarter 3. Toda kuona kuti inenge iri period ani. Year 2 quarter 3. Year 2 quarter 3. So year 1 in a 4 quarters. Skatiati year 1 per year 1 quarter 1 ndio get first period. So talking about the period, but no need to write that in the exam. So trikuti per year 1, the first quarter ndo period 1, toenda isusu quarter 2 zvidaro, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. Tawenda ku year 2, quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. So maybe let's just put year, to year 1. So to go to year 1, then we come here to year 2. So my period, year 1, quarter 1 is period 1, quarter 2, period 2, period 3, period 4, period 5, period 6, period 7. So question yange kabvunza year 2, quarter 3. So in terms of my period, year 2, quarter 3 is period 7. The question yange yakatoti x akamirira the period. So it's just what is the prediction for year 2, period 3? Sorry, year 2, quarter 3. It means our trend. So for our trend, we do 22,000 plus 800. Then pana x to be year 2, quarter 3 in period 7. Simplifying that gives us 22,000 plus 800 times 7. So that is the trend. But at such tapeza, because formula ADRT, it's not a trend times the seasonal index. So takuda isusu, actual production this is our trend 27,600 times the actual production. Please take note. Sorry, not times actual product, times seasonal index. Tikaenda pa question, seasonal index yedu for year 1, quarter 3 and get 130. So can I read the multiplicative model? This one it already the adjusted seasonal index. It means pese pat kushanisa quarter 3. Seasonal index yedu kushanisa 130. Pese pat kushanisa quarter 4, kushanisa 110. Quarter 1, 90. So panaba batrim quarter 3. So quarter 3 technoshanisa 130, and these are percentages. Skaunengo agunoti it's 130%. So we're going to multiply and 130%. So I'm going to go 27,600 times 130%. So this would be your predicted sales for year 2, quarter 3. Let's do the last question. Let's deal with the last question. So the last question. So in this case, our answer is A. Our answer is A. So I'm recording. So in case you miss anything, you can replay the recording. So using an additive time series model, what would be the amount of the seasonal variation for quarter 2? So apa vari kubvunza chi seasonal variation under additive model. Havasi kubvunza the actual sales, they're saying what is the seasonal variation. So powder knowledge mates vision apa chavakuda is seasonal variation. So seasonal variation to say using the additive model, what we know is under the additive model, tinoziva kuti actual tinoti trend plus seasonal variation. So kana tikaita isusu seasonal variation the subject, it means actual minus trend is equals to seasonal variation. So it means that actual production minus trend is equals to seasonal variation. Actual production minus trend is equals to seasonal variation. So chiri easy kutsvaga apa if trend takatopiwa formula yekutsvaga nayo trend. So trend times tinoti 22,000 plus 800 x is the period. Takwenda unotaridza kuti question yedu yati iyo year 2 what is, using the additive, what would be the amount for the seasonal variation for Q2? Or Q2, I will not tell out which year. So I would assume year 1, Q2. The following are the seasonal variation indexes has been derived using the multiplicative model and based on year 1's actual production. So panapa pangoti Q2, so the information pure for year 1. I'm going to assume it's year 1, Q2. Year 2, Q3. So panapa, for year 1, Q2, what will be our trend? Notice year 1, Q2 in a period chi. Year 1, Q1 is period 1. Year 1, Q2 is period 2. So pana X to with a 2. But period abo in a period 2. So simplifying that, that's 22,000 plus 802. So this would be our trend. That would be our trend. But formula edited actual production minus trend. So it means tag the actual production now. Trend tanayo, we need now to work out the actual production. So actual production, today wanna say, per question, vakangotipa ma indexes under multiplicative model. Hawana kutuudza kuti my units produced in each quarter akawanda sei. But we can reverse kana tikapiwa isusu trend for Q2 takuziya trend toziyawo zvekare the multiplicative model index for Q2. Actual production tinoona kuitsvaga. Actual production, by the way, haichinje whether tashandisa the multiplicative model or tashandisa the additive model. So isusu information yavakatipa seasonal index ne trend taanayo. Hatina ma actual sales for Q2, but tirikumada kuti tikwanise kushandisa our additive model. So zvatichaita ipapo tichashandisa the multiplicative model kuti tingotsvaga actual production, because tikatarisa pa question yedu hapana anything chatakapiwa about my units produced in Q2. But vakatipa ivo the index for Q2. So vakatipa index for Q2 iri 90%, which is used under multiplicative model. So we are going to use the multiplicative model just to find the actual sales. Because the actual sales are changing. If we use the multiplicative model, kana the additive model, my sales are. So my actual sales are true without T substitute per formula AD. Tishashandisa the multiplicative model. So since we are not given the actual sales, and we are only given the seasonal indexes under multiplicative model, we can use them to find the actual sales. How? So Tawenda is not three sales and get actual production. We're dealing with actual production. So it means tagunoti trukuda isusu through the actual production yetu tikaenda ku seasonal tikaenda ku multiplicative model. That actions a multiplicative model for Q2 tagunoti trend times seasonal variation. So tagunoti Q2 actual production is equals to trend, you have to calculate 23,600 times trend times seasonal, trend times seasonal variation, seasonal index for Q2. So this gives us our actual production for Q2, which is supposed to be the same whether the Shandisa, the multiplicative model, or the Shandisa, the additive model. Now that actual production trend tagwenda now kuno substitute tagunoti, so the seasonal variation is equals to tagunoti the actual production 21,240 minus the trend 23,600. This gives us seasonal variation. So we're saying 21,240 minus 23,600. So our seasonal variation becomes 2360. We have 2360 on the answer. Negative 2360. So that's what you were expected of doing. Of course, that's it along because I had to first of all introduce the other issues to you, but what you expected of knowing is this relationship, mainly Yaguchi, this one. Actual sales is equals to trend plus seasonal variation. Then actual sales is trend times seasonal variation. Are we still together?
Yes, ndikuda kubvunza pa seasonal variation apo kuti
Pardon?
tashandisa ma-actual projection pa seasonal variation apo pa-last part kuti tishandisa ma-actual projection ayo ari to a multiplicative model
Per last part
21,240 ne 23,600.
23,600 yanga iri trend. Tataitsvaga using the trend function ish. Formula yedu
All right, all right.
Right.
Zvaita, thank you, sir.
Okay. All right, so for today, I think we can end here. So today we can end here and resume from the next lesson.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.